Lazy Jack. Once upon a time in England, there was a boy named Jack. Jack lived with his mother in a tiny cottage near a village in Buckinghamshire. They were very poor. Jack's mother earned some money by saving and weaving, but it was never enough to get by. The trouble was, Jack was lazy. He did nothing to earn his keep. In summer, he lay all day out in the warm sun. In winter, he sat daydreaming in front of the fireplace. He slept 12 hours a day. No matter how hard she tried, Jack's mother couldn't get Jack to lift a finger. Finally, she had no choice. One spring morning, she confronted him. "Jack, you lazy, good for nothing," she began. "You are eating us out of house and home. If you don't work for your room and board, I will turn you out. Then you will have to get your living on your own." For some reason, this threat frightened Jack. His mother sounded very serious. He could tell she meant business. "I will do as you say," Jack promised. The next morning, he went out looking for work. He hired himself for the day to a neighboring farmer for just 1 penny. Jack, being lazy and poor, never had any money in his possession before. How proud and excited he was! On his way home from work, he couldn't help admiring and playing with his penny. He tossed it back and forth from hand to hand. He flipped it high up in the air and catch it as it fell. And wouldn't you know it? As he was crossing a bridge, he dropped the coin in the creek. When he got home, his mother was furious. "You stupid boy! You should have put it in your pocket," she screamed. "Right," said Jack. "I will be sure to do it next time." The next day, Jack went out again and found a job working for a dairy farmer. At the end of the day, the farmer gave Jack a jar of milk for his day's labor. Jack remembered what his mother had told him. So he put the jar of milk in his pocket, and just as you would expect, it all got spilled long before he reached home. Again, his mother was beside herself. "Dear me," she shouted. "You should have carried the jar on your head." "On my head? Right," Jack replied. "I will do it next time." The following day, Jack found work with another farmer. The man agreed to give Jack some cream cheese for his day's labor. Jack did exactly as his mother had told him. He put the cream cheese on his head. By the time he got home, the cheese was all gone. Part of it had been lost. The rest had melted. It was a nice warm day and matted his long hair. Jack dreaded what his mother would say this time. And sure enough, she was very angry. "You are hopeless," she yelled. "You should have carried the cheese carefully in your hands." Jack saw right away that she was right. "I will be sure to do so another time," he said. The day after this, Jack found work at a bakery. Jack worked very hard all day putting bread in and taking it out of the hot ovens. He was very diligent when he put his mind to it. The baker, though, was a bit stingy, and all Jack received in wages was a large tomcat. But at least Jack knew what to do with it. Just as his mother had told him to do, he picked up the cat and began carrying it carefully in his hands. The cat, however, would not cooperate. It scratched and scratched at Jack's hands. It tore at his neck and face. It was not long before Jack was complete to let it go. As you can imagine, when she saw her son, his mother couldn't believe her eyes. "Oh, Jack, what am I going to do with you? You silly, silly boy. You should have tied a string around the cat's neck and pulled it home after you." Jack, of course, said what he always said. "I will do it another time," he promised. The next day, Jack went to work for a butcher. Unlike the baker, the butcher was a generous man. He really appreciated Jack's labor and rewarded the boy with a large shoulder of mutton. You have probably guessed what Jack did next. That's right, he tied the meat to a piece of string and trailed it along behind him. By the time he got home, the meat was covered with dirt, leaves, pebbles, twigs, and even worms. It was completely spoiled. By then, his mother's patience had run out. The next day was Sunday. Instead of a nice piece of meat for Sunday dinner, all they had was boiled cabbage. "You ninny hammer," she said to her son, "you should have carried the mutton on your shoulder." "I will do so next time," Jack said. On Monday, Jack was able to find yet another job. This time he hired himself out to a cattle rancher. And what do you think the rancher gave Jack for his day's work? Believe it or not, he presented him with a real live donkey. Now, Jack may have been lazy and a little silly, but he was also very strong. Even so, he had a hard time lifting the donkey on his shoulder, as his mother had told him to do. But at last he accomplished it, and he set out for home with his prize. It so happened that on Jack's route home, there lived a rich man and his beautiful young daughter. Unfortunately, the girl was deaf and dumb. Not only had she never spoken, but she had never laughed in her life either. The rich man called the doctor after doctor. They all said the same thing. The girl would never recover her hearing and speech until someone made her laugh. Many people tried, but all without success. Finally, in despair, her father sent out an announcement. "Any man who can make my daughter laugh can marry her." The announcement read. One man after another came, all hoping to become rich. All failed. By confidence, this young lady was looking out the window when Jack walked by. The donkey was still on his shoulders, with his legs sticking up and kicking wildly at the air. The sight was so strange, so comical, that the girl burst out laughing. Just as the doctor had predicated, she immediately recovered her speech and hearing. Her father was overjoyed. He was also a man of his word. He rushed outside and told Jack the good news. Jack and the girl were married soon thereafter. Jack became a rich gentleman. He and his beautiful wife lived in a large house and had lots of children. Jack proved to be an excellent husband and father. Of course, he never had to work again, which suited Jack just fine. And Jack's mother? She lived with them all in great happiness for many, many years.